Welcome. I'm so delighted that you're here to have a taste of this 5-video free series that I'm offering to you. Let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started with video 1. All right, so we're going to be moving through these videos and I will be sharing with you how we can, as heart-centered people, begin to unlock our trauma patterns to reclaim and restore who we were born to be. So, who are we? Who is us? This is a question I think most of us begin with when we're really little. Wondering who I am. I can remember looking in a mirror and trying to figure out, is that me? Have any of you done that? Well, in our innocence, we are exploring our world, both our internal world and our external world, and our relationships with others in order to develop a relationship with ourselves. As a young child, I did have quite a few different traumas that I experienced, and because of that, my perception was pretty dismal about myself. I didn't measure up. I thought I was dumb, and that nobody would like me if they knew who I really was, because I wasn't quite sure who I was myself. And you know, it's not true. Those stories that we develop inside of ourselves, we'll explore that more. It's actually called our default mode network. And that part of us is doing its best to take care of us, to help us survive situations and experiences that feel really uncomfortable. And so we can grow up really not knowing who we truly are, or believing that no one would really like us if they knew who we really were, because we don't usually like ourselves very much at that time. And so with the problems that I had, I would continue to have the same problem, thinking that I could change it if I just did one thing different, and then I'd still have the same problem. And I wondered, is this all there is to life? This isn't the life I thought that I was going to have. And when I began to really dig deeper inside, especially since I have children, my children really inspired me to dig even deeper, to really know who I am. And on that journey, then I got to know myself in a brand new way. And I like myself. I've even learned to love myself, especially when I'm having a difficult day. I need to know I can count on that. So if this resonates with you at all, then let me reassure you that you are in the right place as we journey together. This is a modern day version of a saber-toothed tiger. I want to explore a little bit of the evolution of stress with you. Our ancestors, they needed to deal with saber-toothed tigers, and there were big dangers in their world, and they didn't have all the modern devices and things that we've created today. Life was a lot simpler, and it was a lot more dangerous in a lot of ways. So our system was set up to where we could really react quickly in the face of danger in order to survive, and it was the survival of the fittest. And we were in tribes, we had clans, we grouped together because together we're stronger. And when we could hear the voice of the woman, we would know we were safe because we would be in our home, in our cave. Well, as we've evolved as human beings, we still have this, many people call it the triune brain. It's a very oversimplified version. Daniel Siegel teaches the brain in the palm of the hand. And so if you follow along with me, if you make a fist, put your thumb inside and curl your fingers around, this is actually a fairly accurate size and dimension of what your own brain would look like. So this is your spinal column. This is the brain stem. When your thumb comes across, there would actually be two because we have the right and left side, but this is the limbic system, the emotional alarm system. And then your fingers fold over the top. This is the cortex. And the middle two fingers, the very ends of them, would be your middle prefrontal cortex. And when you bring your fingers around, anatomically, the middle prefrontal cortex connects the brainstem, the limbic system, with the middle prefrontal cortex. So the brainstem, this is where all of our automatic processing takes place. And we don't have to think about it. Our body is an amazing, complex system. Anytime there's something in our internal world or external world that feels dangerous, our limbic system takes over. When we have our middle prefrontal cortex connected, that's where we have our sense of wisdom and our creativity. And for me, this is where I really can connect in with spirit. Anytime there's danger, like if a tiger jumps out, we're going to, boop, the emotional alarm system is going to take all of the energy. We actually have like 25 watts of electricity that runs this system. And so we flip our lid. This is from Daniel Siegel. And we don't have that sense of creativity and that sense of self there. We go into automatic pilot to either fight or flight. Our sympathetic nervous system is activated. So that's what stress does. There's another fellow that, Mark Iacoboni, and he did a study where he did MRIs, fMRIs, and he would show different emotions, pictures of that to people, and he would see what happened in their nervous system. And when they would see the scary picture, they would flip their lid. And then if they named the emotion, it'd bring them 50% back on board. Well, in my experience, when we take and we can name the emotion and then we can connect it with what we value or what our sacred values or needs are, it brings me right back to who I am. But a lot of us, with this evolution of stress, we go around 50% flipping our lids, not really available in our life. Because present day stressors are so many. We are in an information age. And I actually have a sense that we're kind of moving past the information age in order to really slow down and bring back the value that our ancestors had. In order to not be moving through life, not really fully present, I can develop my capacity to stay in my body and to be resourced by my body's wisdom. And come back into relationship. Return to the wisdom of our ancestors, coming back into relationship. And so relationships, that's where the healing happens. When we can have a relationship that really gets us where we feel felt and we can stay engaged. So many people get really caught up in their sense of self, and the environment that we live in it's mistrustful. My story is one where I didn't have anyone to turn to when some unfortunate things happened in my life. I didn't trust anybody. And it wasn't until later in my life when I had my children that I became an advocate for them. I wanted to be able to find a way for their lives to be different, for their lives to be fuller. And on this journey of doing my best to create something different for my children, I inadvertently started recreating my own life. And I wanted my children to be able to trust life. And in order for me to model that, I needed to find my own way back to trust as well. When when I was a young girl, I acted out in many different ways. So my behavior that was really out of congruence with how I'd shown up in my life so far, it really was a cry for help. And yet the people around me didn't know how to read those signals. So learning how to read our body's signals is important for us to be able to take those first steps back in order to develop our capacity to trust ourselves. So when you can develop your capacity to reconnect with your body's wisdom, then you'll be empowered to live the life that you were born to live. I have a few notes so that I make sure I'm covering the things I want to, because I can get caught up and get on a roll of talking. So what I want to do is want to walk you through some of the problems we have. So the problems that I faced on my journey was not knowing who I really was or where I fit in. And it was keeping me stuck and stealing my confidence. And the next problem is you don't know how to stay present to communicate clearly when faced with stress. Remember the brain in the palm of the hand? When you get stressed, you just don't have access. So then you don't trust other people. And the fourth one is you believe you're supposed to know what to do before you've learned how to do it. So, what does this look like? There's so many different things that we've done. There are so many things I did. I bought so many different courses and audiobooks and books and went to seminars. I was seeking so much to find something to help me learn how to do this thing called life. And yet I didn't really know how to apply it. So when we had these many fears, then there's many things we do to try to numb our pain. And those really don't help us to stay present either. So these are the problems that we face. So let's look at what's actually possible. What if it's possible that you know who you are and you're building a supportive community that aligns with your dreams? That is possible. That's what this course is all about, to invite you into that experience. And you can respond with compassion, understanding, and curiosity when faced with stress. The first few times that I actually started noticing I was able to do that, it was so exciting because I no longer had to shrink back. I could stay present and engaged, and I didn't have to speak up, but I had choice around how much I would want to engage with another person or whether I would prefer to just have some time by myself. But to have the choice is so nice. I really like to have that choice. And how about being able to stay self-connected and trust yourself to remain strong and resilient while you're engaging with people, even those who come from different walks of life? To be in a group where there's so much diversity and still to have confidence in who you are. That's possible. And then I love this one. You understand that the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, and you're okay with that because now you can trust the process. So we come back around to the full loop to acknowledge the looping pattern that of why we kept experiencing the same thing. And now we can make sense about it. And as we deepen our capacity to drop into our bodies, to access our body's wisdom, and to connect that with the emotions, which is energy and motion within our system, it'll reveal to us what we truly need. And that process right there allows us to send ripples of that way of being out into our world. And I want there to be lots of ripples that continue to move out, lots of resources. So that's what is possible. your authentic voice in the world. And so, what's possible living life in this paradigm? It's possible to really see and hear other people. And it's possible to be able to honestly express what it's like to be you in our world. You can make a difference by seeing somebody and getting them, slowing down to take time to be in relationship rather than just on to the next thing, being so busy in life. There's so many different possibilities of what's like, what's possible living life in this paradigm. There's warmth and there's care. You can slow down, take a pause. You can also step up your game, because when you're really present, you have so much more creativity and possibility that's open to you for spontaneity, being resilient. And that's what this is all about. It's living in a different paradigm that rather than scarcity, we actually live in abundance. There's more than enough for everybody. So what's really important is to really be heart connected rather than strategy oriented. When we have two hemispheres, we'll go more into this on this journey as well. And when we're left hemisphere dominant, we like to fix things, we like to get things done, solve problems. And boy, can we get really on that. And our right hemisphere is more relationship based. It is more of it's based into the body, into the emotions. And what's really nice is to live in a world when your body is balanced, then your left hemisphere is in honor of your right. It's in service of your right. And so strategies are important. They really do support us. And yet strategies can emerge out of a heart connection. So when you can develop your ability to stay in a conversation that includes both people or everyone in the group, then strategies will naturally emerge from those connections with ease. What I have found as a mediator or as a peacemaker is the first step is to get people to slow down enough to actually hear one another. Because many times we're caught up in our mind already planning what we're going to say as soon as they take a breath. How about just really listening deeply from your heart? So how do we do this? How do we stay heart connected rather than in strategy? Well, in the next video, I'll walk you through the Healing You method. And heart connection, that is how we do this thing. I look forward to seeing you there.